Okay, and we're back. Whoa! I've been live for 2 minutes. Have I been live for 2 minutes? I have. I have. Oh, live. Alright. So, hello ladies and gentlemen. How's it going here? I'm going to bring you the third day of scoring phase for now. We've got a lot of things happening. Does look like there was a bunch of disqualifications. And I mean a bunch of disqualifications. That being said, does look like there's going to be fewer and fewer matches moving along. But nevertheless, tonight we are going to be watching the ECL vs GW fight on White Elk Court. Bye, Mel. We're going to be watching ECL versus GW, and the other match right now is BMO versus QAT. Bye, Kira. Say bye, Uncle. Are you going to say bye, Uncle? Okay, bye, Kira. I think SOAR, SOAR, has basically forfeited completely because all of their matches are defaulted. Does look like some of the other teams might have been disqualified, but we'll have to check up on what's happening. Nevertheless, matches later on in the day will be KF versus DVD on Correct Castle, HNB versus EON on White Elk Court, and BZ versus BMP on White Elk Fort. A lot of White Elk Forts, apparently. Again, we're going to be watching the ECL versus GW match, and it does look like we're going to more or less see ECL attacking first, with GW attacking second. Hopefully we get to watch both their matches and no funny business. I do think it will be difficult to accommodate the number of casters, since there is 29 casters in total that should be casting these games. That's already too many casters because there's only 2 sets of matches. 2 sets of matches. One of the spots is automatically up for the referee. That means around about only 9 spots per match, so there's 18 spots technically. I wonder how many he's already put in. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He can put in 1 more person. This BPJ might be able to squeeze in, or he might be kicking them out. But I hope you guys enjoy the commentary. I'm going to finish up my Nutella scoop. Sometimes I just like eating raw Nutella, and it's really bad, but I love it. Originally, I planned to watch the Vanguard versus HNB, but didn't get that happen. Unfortunately, that is. I'm not sure what happened there. I really do wish that we will get an official statement later on, for which teams have been disqualified and which teams has given up. So that will be great if that does happen. So, for the reminder of those that are just coming in now, it is a 3 minutes delay. The rules have changed. We are on the live server. There is doctrines, there is unit attires, and they're definitely using their own armor. So, you're going to expect to see a lot of lineups where it's mostly tier 4s. I'm betting it's going to be 1 tier 5, 2 tier 4s. Whoa, what just happened? Did I just get kicked out? I have frozen. This is not good for me. Okay, exit. That was very weird. Too many casters are trying to hop in. But I've never seen um I've never seen a I've never seen this thing bug out like that before. That was super funny. Oh, I can't see the observer again. Observer's there, right? This ain't good. I think there's too many people trying to join the match. There's a big old wipe just now. Ah, two people watching the ECL. No one wants to watch the BMO versus QAT match. It's so hilarious. Is that a problem? That's a problem, I think. Did they do a remake? They haven't done a remake yet. Predictions? Need more English. Yes, definitely need more English places. So it is this pile, so that's not good. Thanks, Sicko. ECL battle. I mean, this one should have started already, but for some good thing that they're not starting just yet. Is the observer system working? Oh. changed the password. Did they? Yeah, they changed the password. Think about. Alrighty. Hopefully. ECL can lose? I'm so confused! History gutter, why? Why? Why do you have ECL can lose Kappa, or are you typing that ironically? I like how no one's predicted for GW right now. Like no one's putting any money on GW. Alright, hopefully that works out. Does look like the observer system. The Frontiers CB rivals? Technically, yes. It's on the live server, which has been a massive change from a tournament server. I do think this is going to be interesting in the long run to see if they keep this format. I do think this is a bit too. I think this is a bit experimental. Not to mention the changes to the artillery rules was a massive change, to say the very least. It was more or less something that was unexpected for me because I didn't read the rules beforehand. But the changes to artillery has already had a massive impact in just the beginning matches alone, and they are seriously, seriously impacting the battles. Considering we're getting artilleries that are very powerful. I would also say just like I'm pretty sure the people are using so many artilleries right now. Click to cancel. I don't want to click to cancel. Ah, shit. What did I do? Oh well. Hopefully this doesn't. There we go. Starting now. Hopefully the observer system is... Alrighty! And here we go. After that little technical issue has been sorted out, seems like the room bugged out. So, we have ECL vs GW here on White Elk Fort. Does look like ECL is attacking first. We have plenty of tier 4s. We're getting some quadruple tier 4 lineups, which is quite interesting, but the unit distributions are kind of a bit stranger than you would expect. GW having a lot more tier 4s, probably going in for that attrition style playstyle, which is a good idea, able to burn out the enemy, and it will be difficult to get in. ECL's going to have to bide their time, break the enemy formation with artillery, but they have plenty of reserves, so it's going to be very difficult. I have no idea. Unfortunately, the official names weren't given to me, so yeah, there's that. There wasn't a, I mean, like, I tried to look for the entrance list, and it didn't give me, it gave me the, just gave me the abbreviations and the original house name. GW has a, GW is abbreviated for this. I'm not entirely sure. Oh, I can't copy that, can I? Special characters. Oh, apparently I can't copy that. Yeah. So the house names, or the abbreviation for house names, I can't really pronounce what these kanji names are, so I don't know what it actually stands for, unfortunately. There was 3 artilleries for the attacking side and 2 artilleries for the defending side. So the artillery rules have been changed, increasing it by 1 for each side, but the bigger change, I think, is the quality. With the epic and legendary quality artillery being available now, this is probably one of the most controversial changes to the CBL, and I'll definitely say that it is quite interesting to see some artilleries being used that you don't normally see. Interestingly enough, we did see some Outriders running around. Not a unit you would expect, right? So as you can see on the screen here, 3 artillery for the attackers in red, 2 artillery for the defenders. Does look like a couple of artilleries have gone down. About 4 artillery for the defenders. Whoa! Siege Ballista! Threading the needle right through the... how to say...
First blood.
Oh! Do remember, it is still CBL rules. 3 deaths and you're out. 3 deaths is equal to a permadeath. And that could be absolutely brutal, as that skewers some camels on the way out. Oh, man. Treb into nothing, basically. Just destroying the barricade in front of it. Interestingly enough, I'm not sure if units can bypass that. I think heroes can. Heroes can just jump straight over that. Another Treb onto that Siege Ballista. You want to get rid of that artillery as quickly as possible, otherwise it's going to be a pain, so it does get destroyed in the end. ECL takes a wall there on the left-hand side. A lot of teams have keep going for this right-hand side. I honestly don't understand why they focus so much on this right-hand side, but wherever the enemy is, again, you're going to have to fight the defenders eventually, so this would be a good opportunity to burn out some of your artillery, especially to gain dominance in an area that you might not really have to use, but if they want to defend this supply point, I definitely try to shoot them out. Get some close range grape shots, get some... oh man, gotta be careful about those artilleries. Got a free, you got a free Divine Crow here, an epic quality artillery. So we're seeing a lot of artilleries in the recent years. Not to mention, the Divine Crow will be actually amazing against the camels. Lots of camels being... I didn't create Rising Phoenix. Fyro did. Fyro created Rising Phoenix. He dropped out somewhat time in the 2nd year, and we've already headed into our 3rd year here. This is the a few days ago was the 3rd year anniversary, so I think it was the 6th of the 4th. So this would be that would be 3rd year anniversary, meaning that we're in our 4th year, the start of our 4th year. So it's been a long time since CB has been around. 2020, sorry. So, taking the smart approach, backing off, getting hit by a couple of shots, although trying to respond with artillery on their own does look like more artillery is being used, but shots are not being careful enough. But that was a massive shot. Oh, pain and suffering. Those units are probably really low health and dangerously low of just straight up dying. Look at those water brushes getting skewered by that Retiari. That Retiari probably cleared out a good chunk. Probably up to 24 hits. 24 dead, maybe? No, probably about 20-ish. This is really good bombarding from both sides. We got Krebs and artillery popping off. We got the Falconettis moving in a weird angle. Really need to get that good oh, I can see through this. Really need to get them shooting down range, but GW getting pushed back ever so slowly. But nevertheless, ECL does lose out massively on unit counts, same with the defenders. But in this case, I think pound for pound, maybe a little bit better. We've got cavalry coming in from two directions, wiping out the remainder of the GW. GW gets pushed back completely in this case as they get overrun by cavalry. So it did look like ECL did have a little bit of reserves. Gotta get them camels out on the field. Camels by themselves are quite tanky, but they don't deal very much damage. Easily muscled out by just regular units. Shield Maidens clock out. And surprisingly, a couple of them just instantly died. So that happens. GW is losing a lot of ground. Both the supply points have been taken, and the A point is about to see some nasty. Quite surprising that lots of cavalry coming through, but straight into the Fort Braccio, not breaking the Fort Braccios immediately. But the Dagger Lancers does come in for the cleanup, losing a little bit of Chevaliers there. Probably not the best of ideas. In the end, ECL does do massive pickups, as well as the defending side really exposing themselves on some corners. ECL opening up the pathway directly towards the back supply. That could be an interesting attack avenue coming straight up, taking this supply. Could halt the advantage that is the unit advantage for GW, which doesn't actually exist right now, if I can remember which button. Where did I just send myself? I have done something. Okay. I accidentally sent myself below the floor here, which I did not expect to do. Oh. Particle effects. Alright, number... this one? There we go. Ooh, wee. So, in terms of tier 4s, still in favor of... actually, just a little bit up. Just a couple of... just about 50 or so units up for the defenders here. That is pretty... that's like a unit, maybe 2 units in fact. If they play their cards right, they can definitely chunk down the units from the attackers. Attackers not taking a aggressive approach right now. See a lot of blood from the dead bodies that were taken there at the supply point, and the mortaring have begun. The trees are so massive that it becomes very difficult to see anything, but nevertheless. As you can see, just raining down mayhem with those... ooh, even those trebs coming in. But mostly the mortars are definitely doing a massive impact. And this section here is getting bombarded heavily. Gonna get pushed out completely soon. GW not very good on the hero pile as they get pushed out fairly easily. Button. Nope, not that one. Not that one. Actually, no. I kind of wanted that one. It does look like a lot of people have 2 lives left. No one's near permadeath. But down 7 lives. Going in for the push right now. ECL comes in. Cavalry swings on through. But misses a lot. I don't even know if they were attacking. Just does look like they were just doing a Russian blow to come through. The Dagger Lancers comes in, sweeps in from behind, clears out most of the Fort Braccio that were locked in by the Imperial Spear Guard. Imperial Spear Guards don't have very much damage, but they can lock down a unit fairly easily. This is a pretty much wipe, as on all sectors are just a stampede of cavalry, wiping out most of the infantry completely. Easily handling that defensive position. GW falls like leaves in the wind, unable to stop stop anything at this point. That was a very fast win. ECL taking the first taking the first victory quite easily, quite handedly, I must say. Very minimal bombarding, but then again, a lot of it was on target. Heaps of impact, heaps of damage, in fact. Again, troops getting murdered. Again, blue here is the allied section, which would be the attackers, but the red is the defenders section, which is also, this is super weird. Death count for the enemy allies here. That's weird. Is this reversed? The defenders are in blue. The defenders are in blue. The attackers in red. I think the attackers are in red, actually. Oh, that's so confusing. That's so confusing. Enemies are the defenders here. Allies are no, wait. Enemies are the attackers here. Death count. Allies are the defenders, but the attackers are in blue, and that's so confusing. That's so confusing. That's so confusing. Anyway, continuing on to the next battle. Does look like ECL is gonna wipe the floor with GW. I mean, at this point, it was kind of expected. I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that they'll win the next one pretty easily. But you'll never know. It will. You never know. It will probably come out that GW actually give them a hard time on their attack, since we'll be heading on to the next battle shortly for ECL versus GW. I don't think, for the most part, running through the entire enemy team with cavalry is kind of what's been happening as of late. Dagger Lancers are incredibly powerful, and I do suspect that there will come a fix shortly for the issue with Dagger Lancers, whether or not that comes soon or later. I really do hope that it does come in the end. Never believe that. Hello? Wrong password. Alright, need to go back to the old password. Trying to stop a Rima push. What's up? There is a 3-minute delay. There was a serious amount of cav there, really just plowing through everything. I guess they're changing the passwords because there's not enough slots for there's not enough slots for the observers, so too many people are trying to join the room. So it's causing delays in organization here, and that is probably the reason why they're doing this, because too many people are trying to join into the room, and it's people that, again, you gotta sign up for your battles. Sometimes it's best to sometimes you just got to accept that you're gonna have to be relegated to places where you don't get the opportunity to watch live. Hopefully the observer system works. I don't think that they are not understanding, but they also really got to make sure that that observer system works properly moving forward. No one likes it when the observer system is not working. I do hope that those that do not make it into the live one, they are able to use the observer system. It did look like it's turned on today, and I hope it's working properly. I know the last time that I was using the observer system, the harbor city bugged out completely, and well, not completely. We were basically like looking through terrain and stuff. So that was just a playback issue. I'm pretty sure in game there wasn't that issue. Hey, Zalia? Sanzaka? Sandzaklia. Sandzaklia. That's what I'm gonna go with. Hopefully we get to start soon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. Does look like we are max. Does look like we are starting. Oh. So hopefully this doesn't go down to a tiebreaker. A lot of delays have been happening today, and hopefully this next battle is exciting. We did get to see a lot of artillery being used. Again, placement is very much not important when you are using artillery that can basically shoot halfway across the map. Wall rockets are classically really good at shooting very far, especially when you got an elevated position. And mortars, they will fire yonders. So they're really great for shooting over buildings and stuff, since you can get it really close, shooting out up high, coming down. And of course, cannons could be useful, but it does not look like anyone's using them for close quarters. Using grape shots is probably more efficient and definitely more safe, less risk of shooting yourself. GW uses a lot of heavy armor, and this might backfire because a little bit more distribution for ECL, but ECL was also using a couple of range, which is 3 muskets, 1 short bow. So it's going to be very difficult for GW to kind of push into ECL, which I was using, again, a lot of Forte pikemen. Surprising here is that ECL not using very many monks. A lot of monks for GW, but not very many for ECL. It does look like ECL has decided to drop the monks, even though they're very powerful. Still coming in with that Outriders, probably there to poke out the enemy. It is a very powerful unit, don't get me wrong, a tier 3. Even in this scenario, a harassing type cavalry can do work. You never really see them really have a great impact. Well, I take that back. Outriders still have a very big impact, even in the major... That's not Outriders. That is Outriders. Outriders still have a major impacts even in higher tier battles because of how their ability is designed. Oh man, GW instantly getting roasted by the Flying Crow. Another hit. This could... Any deaths? Oh, they are roasting. Oh, there's one death. And it was a monk. Very surprising. And there's a couple of ISGs clocking out. That is very unfortunate, but they did take it out in the end. I can see why there was a treb on this one early on in one of the other battles, because that Flying Crow... surprise, surprise, the Flying Crow's burn damage is terrifying. So, getting shot at by a couple of Shenji, not an issue. Keeping this door controlled is actually a very good strategy. Not very many teams nowadays understand of, well, White Elk Fort is one of the few maps where the, how do you call it? The mechanism to close and open the gate is actually inside the gate itself, instead of being on top on the gatehouse. So normally, because the gate is controlled by the wall and the defenders don't normally defend the wall at a certain point, that they give up on the gate entirely because it is just an eventuality that it'll just be perpetually open. But because the key is down here where the defenders are controlling, they want to keep the gate available, which is good. It means that they can close this gate, keep the respawning defenders outside. Either they go up the siege towers with infantry or coming around with cavalry, which takes much more time than coming straight through through the gate. So it's a bit of a hard task, because GW not only needs to take the A point, they'll need to also secure themselves and make sure they don't get pushed out instantly. And even if they do not get the A point, if they open up the front gate, they can get a respawn in quickly enough to break through the defender's defense. But of course, this is ECL. They're definitely not going to make it easy. Also, a respawn tactic is not the wisest moves that I would ever take. A respawn is quite deadly. Oh, this is very good as well. You also have to remember that camels are susceptible to fire damage, and you know what Outriders have? They have explosion and fire damage. So those camels have taken a hefty loss in HP. Definitely would move them away. I would also focus on taking out that Outrider as fast as possible, as long as you don't want your camels to burn up on re-entry. Not to mention, just mortars in general also having fire damage. The fire damage increase is actually about the same as the Rattan Ranger, the Rattan series, which increases fire damage by 500, to 500%, not by 500%. It's actually 500% in total. It's actually 400% increase. So they take five times the normal burn damage than other units. So that's why one liquid fire can normally burn out kind of half, well, basically almost the entire health pool of... That's an interesting position. This elevated position to get even further shots off. And oh my goodness, he can actually reach. That is some super long shots firing. Probably can get higher than that. Both sides are kind of using elevated positions to mortar each other from literally across the map. Like, that is across the map right there. Taking the center line, or the back line here, is probably a smart move. I wouldn't have my camels ruck up like this. Also, it would be smart to have a little bit of range to smoke these guys out, but free javelin throws straight into the pile. Not a smart look. Whoa! Here comes some Falconetti gunners shooting down that center. Oh no. That's gonna hurt your camels into oblivion. but you're going to try your best to get them through. Here's some more fires and flame burning down GW. GW taking the hard road in as they push all the way through. I do think a nice trev into the back line here, but reinforcements from more Forte make it difficult to continue the assault. They are sustaining, and we got some nice Shenji lined up with some artillery here. Backline completely secured by a combination of camels and Forte. That is definitely not something that is easy to get through, especially with cavalry. We had Liao's kind of go through the back line, stopping that resupply, which is a great move, in fact. GW pushes in and takes control. Would be absolutely wonderful. Dagerac Lancers, no, these are Chevaliers. Chevaliers forcing their way through. Probably not the best unit to force their way through. Imperial Spear Guards doing an amazing job at just surviving through that entire thing. As everything else is dead, the only thing left is the Imperial Spear Guards as reinforcements from both sides kind of, from the defenders kind of walk in. And again, this is what happened. The inside force gets completely decimated. The front gate being closed means that they cannot capitalize on the A point as they reform. Big loss for the attackers, and even bigger loss for, massive loss for the attackers. The defenders did not actually lose that much. So what I was meant to say was big loss for the defenders, but even bigger loss for the attackers. As you could probably see that the unit difference is going in favor of, well, no, actually, it's closing in. So it does look like the defenders have more on the books, but it's mostly tier 1s. The attackers have more, around about 50 more, 60 more like it, about 60 more units in the tier 4 category, but it does look like the defenders have a little bit more in the tier 5. My guess is that the tier 5s are mostly cavalry based. Maybe not, specialty. I'm not sure what to say. Both sides receiving quite a bit of losses. Is GW in a better position? I'm not sure. Would definitely not say that they're in the greatest position. This is, again, one of the weirdest positions that I think a team could make, is going through the right side and going to the front. I would either go cut straight through, choke off this intersection by getting completely across it and cutting it off here. Going through the back again sends you to a to the main intersection, which is very useful to control. The only problem is the difficulty. I'm not even sure if a Treb even lands onto the market. Whoa! Well, 2 Trebs do actually get in there. Taking some cannons to the face, probably not the smartest move. Goes through the center here. Not going for the supply point this time, because it would be a heavy loss indeed. War rockets raging fire. Man, getting under the guns have never been more real. Now here comes the tough Imperial Spear Guards, but here's the response coming in from... followed by a Shenji grenade straight in with the Chevaliers as the Imperial Spear Guard holds the line. Nothing to stop the cavalry so far. Getting locked up. We got some flamers coming in very quickly. Wow, I just watched the new unit just kind of cleave their way through, but it doesn't look like they managed to kill the most important unit. Getting sandwiched here in the center. From behind is a massive pile of Port Ratio, as from the front we have lots of Imperial Spear Guards just making their way through the center line as they just get decimated by Shenji grenades and flamers. GW takes another heavy loss, and it does look like the victory is, the outcome is clear. The unit count will be switched over now in favor of the defenders having way more units. Some nice combination attacks there, really kind of keeping the enemy where they want them with those Imperial Spear Guard. Imperial Spear Guards are resilient enough and tanky enough to actually survive, but not to mention the heroes themselves able to survive that onslaught. And now following up with some nice, powerful abilities like the Shenji Grenade is awesome. GW is pushed into a corner again. This siege, this battering ram is actually very important. I would break down this wall. I mean, I would break down this gate. With only 1 life left. Most of the GW players have only 1 life left. And they only have 1, no, they have a couple of units, a couple of guys have 2 units left, actually. But they don't have a lot of time. The amount of artillery being used in this game is quite low. I've seen, surprisingly, much more infantry battles have engaged. They kind of skimped out on their artillery usage in the middle part there. But here comes ECL to secure the victory with a bunch of artillery. It's kind of overkill, I would say. But coming from the front again. Really odd move. Imperials... The Imperial Spear Guards, lovely people, but unfortunately in formation they are much weaker, not having that 30% increase in damage, or I mean increase in damage and increase in, or the CC immunity, damage taken, those kinds of things. The cover commander is much superior, much more superior, and even if it covers less area, it would be foolish to have them in a formation versus just cover commander, but there is less danger when you put them in formation versus having them in cover commander and you just dying. Having these nice longswords in the middle of them does help. Longsword doesn't classically get murdered by random ass abilities. Fortebracio's deep lines does keep them from getting instantly one-shot. But the only problem is that too much cavalry coming in from multiple directions, completely stampeding right through and finishing off the defenders once and for all. That is basically done deal. And I don't think GW had much of a chance against ECL in that case. Really, ECL keeping GW where they want them. Surprising that it looked like at every turn that GW went, ECL knew how to respond and knew how to respond with a fiery execution. The usage of the Siphonades plus the Shenji combination is gorgeous right now. Access to these high-valued units are pretty important, especially here in tight corners. The setup as well, doing a very good job. We got the cavalry coming raging on through, open up a little bit of space, followed by the infantry, and then rushing in with the range. It is very hard to get the pacing down, but I do think GW is not very good on the push, and definitely not good on the defense. Well, not as good as ECL. But other than that, we do see that I do think that they put up a good of a fight as they possibly could. I do think that ECL probably has much more cohesion and much higher level of cohesion with their team. GW definitely just kind of nerves the deathballing it, not really getting a good handle on pushing and attacking, and definitely ECL capitalizing on kind of the sandwich coming in from behind, coming in from the front. And definitely when it comes with cavalry, they definitely come in from different directions, because even if they sacrifice a Daggerack Lancer from the front, they come in with the Daggerack Lancers from behind. Impossible to stop 2 cavalry coming in from 2 different directions. Even if 1 cavalry gets stopped, the 2nd cavalry will finish them off. Daggerack Lancers have seemed to be the problem as of late. Again, very difficult to kill in some circumstances. Fortebraccios are really struggling to even finish off most of the, how to say, cavalry, or most of the Daggerack Lancers. I wouldn't... That is a practice match. They're practicing right now. Great. Which match am I registered for? I watched Eon the first time actually. I'm gonna switch over to ZZ versus BMP. Hopefully this does go through. Well, it does look like we have a couple of minutes before the next battle starts. Go for a 10-minute break. I'll see you guys in 10. Be right back. How long have I been muted? Man. Talking to myself here, and it's just like, ugh. You know, I was probably like saying the most horrendous, racist, sexist, generalist things. Like, you just, since it was all muted, you'll never get that audio. He's just looking at me and just like, he's not saying anything. He's saying something, but he's just like, I can't hear him. Hey! Never mind. I don't have to worry about no shows. They're here! Wow, they all showed up. Oh, man. Looks like a couple of BPs. BMP's gonna restart the matches. So, it does look like we got a good old-fashioned fight. Unfortunately, just not filled out with complete members. Does look like this could be a 14v14. Officially, you would need to fill out the entirety of the map requirement, but they can go for an agreement. Since both sides are down one player, it's just a basic agreement that you guys are fighting with 14 players. But BMP has 15 players, so again, officially, BMP needs to agree that DZ can fight them with 14 players. I'm not even sure if that deliberation is even. I don't think that deliberation is even necessary most of the time. I do remember that there was a such rule that if you did not have 15 players, it would. If you did not have all your players or enough players, you would be penaltied. So you would automatically just lose the match. So that's the unfortunate thing. So hopefully DZ does get another player. I think they have a 5-minute grace period, so it might be extended depending on whether or not they know for a fact that their player is coming. But we're gonna have to wait to see if we get that 15th player in or not. But I hope you guys do make a prediction with channel points. Again, it's fun gambling, or maybe not, or don't gamble at all. Doesn't really matter too much, I guess. I haven't really seen these guys fight before. Maybe I have. Maybe I haven't. Can't really remember kanji names because I can't read kanji. I can't read kanji as much as I would like to. I can recognize some things that I've seen before, but I have no idea the meaning of them sometimes. Well, not sometimes, a lot of times. Like, I think this one is something to do with dragon, maybe? I'm not sure. I remember my mom teaching me how to write dragon, or my name in Chinese anyway. Oh, the meaning of my name in Chinese, since it's translated from Vietnamese to English to... It's translated from Vietnamese to English to Chinese. Or the middle part of my name is actually Chinese. That would be interesting if they agree for a 14v14 like that, even though that BMP does have 15 players. They can go with 15 players. So it would just kind of BMP is kind of handicapping themselves if they agree to that. I mean, it's very sportsman-like, but you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot. Also, it takes a lot of courage to not come in with everything you got. Oh, there it is, 15v15, so that does look like we are good to go. Very happy to see that happening. I like how they're talking about the... I like how I'm reading this conversation on Discord about the new cavalry, and they were complaining about, like, oh, they came out very weak. Of course they came out very weak, because they missed a lot. You would be halfway into the enemy before you could actually get a proper hit trigger. And then you would also just have issues with the cavalry unit just being very difficult to use, so not very many people actually got used to using them by the time of the first week. Were they overbuffed? Sort of? They kind of just fixed the usability issue and increased the base damage by 230. The 230 really an issue? Not really. It was less than a... Let's put it this way. It was about 3,300 or 3,500 damage. A increase of 230 is like a 7 or 8% increase in damage. for a unit that's doing... For that kind of unit just to be a tiny increase, it's nothing. It's basically nothing. Multiplied out, it probably could be a massive showing. Ah, 2 times. Probably disbanded now. CNC is probably moved on. A lot of their older members have probably moved on at the very least. But nevertheless, I don't think I don't have any contacts in CNC. I'd probably have to ask Ziggsy if he knows anything. Regardless, I think we have BMP versus DZ coming up for us on White Elk 4. It does look like we have a lot of shield units, in fact. Some of the new cavalry, so less Lee Owls, which is quite surprising. Not a lot of cavalry coming up from the attackers, so not a surprise there. The defenders having not enough Fort Brachio's, in my opinion. I do think that it's going to be hard pressed to use the pikemen against the defenders here, but nevertheless, the shield units are going to get murdered by the cavalry, and there is a lot of them. A lot of dagger lancers for the attackers going to come out. Very much a kill-heavy team from BMP. If I would put my money on anyone, I'd put it on BMP. Coming out with the, what is it? 5 spears, 6 pikes. 5 spears, 5 pikes, actually. Sorry. Miscounted there. 4 mauls, 2 long swords, 1 short sword, 3 glaives there coming out from the defenders there. DC definitely not going with a confident lineup. Heavy armor is a particularly critically, it's a unit concentrated class. In an environment like this, you're not going to be dealing with the unit most of the time. You are going to try to be surviving and trying to deal with the enemy heroes. That is kind of your job for the most part. You kind of just let your units deal with each other. And of course, you're using the artillery to shoot at each other. But nevertheless, I do think DZ will have a pretty difficult time dealing with the amount of cavalry. No prize money this time, really? Probably. 10 times. Yeah, something like that. At this point, CNC have only lost last... they only lost last one. So they're like... They basically won every time. Well, there's been a tournament every season. Almost every season, and they only lost the last one just recently, so I don't think, hang on, let me check something. So yeah, no prize money for this tournament, unfortunately, so, not, I was very surprised when they did have a pretty good prize pool for the last one. Just wanted their champ skin. Oh, is there no champion skin? I thought there was champion skin. So the champions get the champion doctrine, champion title, champion frame, pure spirit. Ooh, wow. No skins or attires for this league. That is very interesting. The investment here is much lower, I would say. The special doctrine, though, I'm very skeptical on the prize. I personally don't think any of the champions should use that doctrine, no matter how powerful it is. I think that's a very unfair advantage for champions to use. But nevertheless, it is their own prerogative. I will make a note of it depending on if we get to know how powerful it is. If we don't, well, I guess I'll let go. Previous champions, when we get to see who they are, I think it's like BPJ. BPJ is probably going to win again, since they won last season. The changes have made it a little bit more... Well, I mean, like, look at this. Just getting flamed and then just beaten up by the artillery. So, BPJ comes in very strong. We have some Falconettis finally shooting into the pile, but they're shooting too high, shooting into the back. Cavalry coming in from behind, turning around. Whoa! Port Brascio needs to be in position, or it just gets plastered right through. Very surprising that the backline just kind of gets eaten up with that attack, and whish straight through. The Anudal cavalry just slices the Port Brascio into pieces. Not a surprise that they can do that. They are so fast that on an angle that they will just blitz right through the Port Brascio. You hate to see it, but right now the defenders are lower on heroes while the attackers are still holding strong. A respawn. Unfortunately, there is a barricade here. You can't get through that. The attackers finally grab the supply point after a heavy battle. It does look like to be in favor of the attackers, losing out a lot for the defenders. The defenders also retreat all the way back into the base point, and oh, take that back. They sallied out now, seem to move back towards the A point. Great job taking out the front gate. Again, a lot of teams have been screwed over by having that front gate not be broken through. We got some we got some more Yanyadao cavalry rolling on through. Yanyadao cavalry does seem to be a favorite of these two teams. Both teams using Yanyadao cavalry to great effect so far. They have been hitting hard and been hitting fast. Everyone loves how fast they are. If there is a CVL, I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure if this technically counts as a CVL or not. But it's going to be very interesting. Monks last right through the Imperial, these Palace Guards. I'm surprised that Palace Guards were there. Will destroy the... Well, didn't destroy the Grape Shot. I thought it would collateral the Grape Shot there. We got a couple of shots fired. It's a little bit... The supply chain here is a little bit scuffed. Just grabbing that... just grabbing the A point very easily as they just kind of leave it there. Shield Maiden's going to try to fight out the Imperial Spear Guards. They do well, but unfortunately the Imperial Spear Guards will take a while to be killed. That being said, they're just getting blasted by a lot of grape shots and artillery in the back line, and they are holding strong so far. I don't think... there goes a volley straight into the center there. We have some nice cavalry charges in the back doing a nice cleanup, but both sides doing cavalry charges. In fact, I think the attackers have a better cleanup job as basically the entire supply point is cleared off. Reinforcements, the pipeline was able to hold off the cavalry charge from behind and definitely kind of extending this push. We have some Shield Maidens and Palace Guards continuing the fight. Probably not something I would do. I would just kind of use their artillery against them and run away. But this is really good as the Shield Maidens will munch through the medals, but unfortunately just get cleaved in pieces by the Yanyadao cavalry. Yanyadao cavalry just pushes right through along with Daggerak Lancers. There is mostly Yanyadao cavalry. I do think I see one unit of Daggerak Lancers. This entire supply point is, I mean, the base point is completely open as respawns come through. Whoa, this is very strange. Oh my goodness. Ooh. Man, that Imperial Spear Guard taking on 3 different attacks, just 3 different attacks. I think he dodged one of them, and he just eats a double Yan Yadao cavalry charge, or a Yan Yadao unleashed Dread, and just gets completely destroyed. BMP definitely using those Yan Yadao cavalry to a terrifying effect against the infantry piles. It was to be expected. I did not see enough pike units to control the cavalry. Again, infantry is just not cutting it. Cavalry is running rampant, and they are decimating the infantry. Without the opportunity of responding from regular infantry, even heavy shield infantry unable to hold back the cavalry, it is quite it's quite obvious that the lack of pikemen to actually deal with the cavalry is really backfiring on DZ there. I think in the long run, DZ will realize that they need to deal with the cavalry. They've been playing too much of the infantry. They were doing pretty well, for the most part, quite even on the infantry pile. Not sure if whether or not it was because of unit advantage, because they had more infantry on the field than the attackers, but once the cavalry came in, it got really terrible for the defenders. DZ just, as much as you'd probably want your infantry to do well, once those cavalry starts rolling in, you really need to have an answer for them. You can't rely on units to make. You can't rely on infantry units that are not good against units. I mean, good against cavalry to deal with. The cavalry, because once the cavalry get going, they'll kill 1, 2, 3, 5 whole units of your shield maidens, your ISGs, your Fortibraccios. Gonna be able to kill a couple of cavalry, but toe to toe, you got 1 Fortibraccio for 1 unit of, maybe 1.5 unit of cavalry, maybe 2 at best, but it can get really bad sometimes. Maybe you'll only get 1 cavalry unit, even half of a cavalry unit. The Shield Maiden's doing a good job, but the ISG's again taking too long to kill. Shield Maidens will eventually cut through them, but it takes way too long and they will take damage for it. More damage than ever before, but that's still to be seen whether or not Shield Maidens are not useful. They were cutting through the medalls very fast. They were cutting through some of the not Imperial Spear Guard. The Fortibraccio is very fast, but unfortunately when the cavalry starts rocking around, it is unstoppable as the Shield Maiden just fall like flies, instantly dead. The Loyal Guards, or the Stalwarts, Damachian Stalwarts being taken out very quickly as well was a bit of a surprise. I do think that Damachian Stalwarts, with a combination of the CC immunity plus the charge damage reduction, should lend them credence to being able to sustain enough and not get completely blasted right through. Trend gun. We're gonna get DC has one too many players right now. They'll need to clock one out by the looks of it. But I mean, like, I'll be honest as well, like, DC probably needs an extra player in order to make up the skill difference, or at least the unit selection difference against BMP. The amount of cavalry being used versus the amount of anti-cavalry being used is just not enough. Really need to get that down packed, and really need to get a focus on getting more Fortibraccios to bear, and getting more Fortibraccios to aim at that cavalry when it comes in, and to really focus on winning those infantry battles, not by sheer numbers, but by good matchup. I also think DZ didn't do too badly in defending in some circumstances. They kind of had a good array, kind of going for some good hard points, but the problem is that their flanks were exposed. They were committing too many units to one front, so they like had an overconcentration of the defense, which is a good thing when you're fighting a limited number of attackers trying to get through. Having more people attacking will net you better results. But even with more people attacking, you did not come out on top, which is really unfortunate for DZ. But DZ is attacking this time. Maybe they have a better performance in attacking than defending, while BMP is defending. I guess definitely with the aggressive style and the number of cavalry, I'm expecting to see a very aggressive style defense coming out from BMP. If not, they will probably just sally out on DZ. I wouldn't be surprised if they already know that DZ does not like to use a lot of pike units, because I only see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Fortebraccios. Fortebraccios are the only anti-cavalry units in my eyes. You can bring halberdiers, you can bring Imperial pikes. They don't cut it. I'm just sorry. They're just not that strong. One DZ member brings out a triple cavalry with the Anudao cavalry, the Chevaliers, and the Daggerrack Lancers. Probably one of the better lineups at the very least. You just trade a cavalry for one of their cavalry, and you can basically beat out their infantry. Nevertheless, here comes the second battle of White Elk Fort with DZ versus BMP. I don't think we're going to see a very entertaining battle, as BMP will just probably crush DZ. I said before, the kill potential on BMP just from their hero selection, from their weapon selection, is already apparent. DZ trying to stay alive with the heavy armor and trying to have a more impactful unit presence is backfiring, as the units are not very important, or the units that the heroes can affect is not very important, because cavalry will just rush through even heroes. It's very deadly to get hit by a cavalry, and especially the Anudao cavalry. I've been seeing heroes get absolutely murdered by the Anudao cavalry. Classically, since I run bottom line, my bottom line Anudao cavalry can one-shot heroes even through units, and it's very funny when they die to my Anudao cavalry, because they get hit. They're getting hit by a cavalry unit that has a negative 50% damage to heroes. So the Anudao cavalry is probably only doing around about 2,000 damage to you. Still murders you. Then again, it only takes around about 6 or 5. It only takes around about 6 or 8 of them to one-shot a hero. They also have a very wide hitbox and a high hit limit, so they're bound to hit you if you're inside a unit. Maybe if you're inside an Imperial Spear Guard, it might be a bit more difficult. Nevertheless, a bad start already. Getting stunned there. Really needed the Imperial Spear Guard to go in first. Good back off there. We get the... Whoa! Fortebraccios. Nicely done. Spreading out that fire, not concentrating, but the flood does come through. Very costly in the center here, as they're not really punching. This is very surprising. Really good for the fire to take out the flamers here. I think the flamers exploded and took out most of this center pile here. Or maybe they were shooting each other here. Maybe there was no flamers. Oh man, was there a flamer? There was no flamer. Oh my goodness, I was wrong. I take that back. The flame was from the defender's side. All of that flame was from the defender's side. That did not look like it was from the defender's side. Wow, massive defeat already, immediately. I've seen some good defenses in for this wall break, but man, damn! That's some heavy losses. also to lend credence to the fact that there is a lot of leadership doctrine plus a lot of leadership to go around is the fact that they still have probably 2 good units left to go. So it's not out for the count just yet, but they have a massive wall to make up for, because that difference in unit count will bite them in the ass later on. About 120 in the high tier unit category. Man, some ballista shots. Gotta take out some ballistas. Especially when they hit cavalry. You never want that to happen. Take the wall is probably my best bet. I never really want to... Whoa. Very close of hitting directly onto that Fort Brascio. That could have been devastating. Definitely not looking too hot for the attackers. DZ might lose a spear, or a pike, sorry. Does lose the pike. I'm just wondering what they're preparing for the next strategy. It does look like they're going for a very much more traditional style, as they're kind of eyeing the wall as they kind of push through other avenues. The only problem is that they're getting bombarded from the other side of the wall with the mortars absolutely raining hell down, and this ballista is being quite the menace, in fact. I'm not even sure if he got anybody with that one. Did seem to look like there was some hits. Front wall is broken down. I would not go through the front gate, especially in this scenario where both teams are quite organized. Going through the front gate in regular siege matches might work out, but it's just not something that anyone should be doing in a tournament-style match, since it's very easy to hold the gate. I would get control of the wall, probably the most important thing. I would definitely destroy this damn ballista. The fact that it's still being used is horrendous, I would say. The surprising thing here, these are actually woodcutters. You can actually charge these guys in, and you can get onto this Fort Brascio very easily. So I don't know why they're kind of letting that unit go for free. We also have some prefecture guards, which is very strange to see them out on the field. Oh man, I'm pressing a lot of buttons and I don't know which one to press. Come on. Oh, there we go. That's the button I need to press. Oh, wait, no. DZ did have flamers. So maybe I did see flamers actually get clocked out. Whoa! That's still here as well! That's not going to be good. But they will survive. That is the good thing. The shield maidens probably take a couple of losses. The monks getting taken out was probably much more of a loss than anything. The shield maidens probably need to go back for a heal. Definitely wouldn't push on. There's just only one monk getting taken out. We're shooting with a war rocket here. Gotta be careful with that cover commander. They do not respect the elevation issue, and they will walk around some walls. I do think that how units are coded, especially for cover commander, shouldn't really tether like that, and instead tether to the commander a lot more. I personally don't like how the cover commander causes the entire unit to stack up on a primary target. Oh my goodness! Wow, that war rocket really raining down hell. DZ needs to spread out or get under cover. I would get under cover here. This is probably one of the best, safest spot. But my goodness, one of the war rockets actually hitting you down. Where they're going is my question. They're taking a massive hit. They're taking so many losses moving through here. Lots of artillery being used. Now they're getting chased. And this could mean the end of this push as they're rocking on through. Heroes just blast their way through. The loyal guards have been left with the longsword holding them back. But here comes cavalry, and it's going to be a side swipe straight into the Daggereg Lancer. Daggereg Lancers actually survive magically, but here come some more Daggereg Lancers. Really need to respond to the back line because they're about to lose their entire tail. I'm pretty sure their tail is completely lost. Here comes a cavalry charge from the front. Not very many things that can stop them. Oh my goodness, loses out on the cavalry charge, and it charges all the way through. Gonna see a reversal as well as it goes with United Charge coming swinging through. But the Yan Yadao cavalry has doing some massive cleanup right now. Barely any units left on the field for DZ as their entire tail has been cut off. And even more so, completely outnumbered by the sheer amount of cavalry left on the field as the units get decimated by to the man. Front gate push, bit desperate. I would not realistically want to cap this in this scenario because, I'll be honest with you, I would just take the loss. You're about to see a lot of cavalry come through, and I don't think they fear a Meidao because the Yan Yadao cavalry will just take a swipe at the Meidaos. Oh my goodness, and there they go. One swipe at the Meidaos and a second Daggereg Lance charge, and I'm pretty sure they just got finished off by the second Daggereg Lance charge. Coming in from the side there, takes out the entirety of the Imperial Spear Guard. The Imperial Spear Guard, I say that could survive. Apparently not. The cavalry is en masse. They're going to take a swipe at each other right now. Yan Yadao cavalry versus Yan Yadao cavalry. Even that Forte brace in the center there could not hold back the tide. Another one in the center here. Palace Guard doing well to survive that hit, but get slammed as the tide of cavalry just circles around them. Spawned there on the left-hand side, running for their lives, trying to get onto the wall. Cataphract Lancers, United charging through. Not a bad performance, but the amount of cavalry that is there is definitely not something that they can take on. Forte is trying to stand, but the amount of cavalry there is just too much as the Yan Yadao cavalry actually beats out that Forte very easily. Again, not something that DZ wants to take. It is definitely not a wise move. You will be hunted down to the man. There is a nice juicy ISG, but you're lucky that cavalry cannot get up on the wall. If cavalry could get up onto the wall, that would be very terrifying. Taking out those Shenji Grenadiers, probably a very smart move because ranged units are very powerful. But nevertheless, pretty idiotic to have the Halberdiers kind of try to fight against shield units, even though they're kind of one of the better polearm units to deal damage to shields. In this fight, they're just going to get rolled over. Like, regardless of what's happening on this set of stairs, you're dying. You're dying, like 100% dead. Whenever you touch that ground, that cavalry is going to eat you up. But luckily enough, the Shield Maidens do pretty well against the cavalry. I say that as they get completely decimated by the monks there. Monks in the back just cleared out house there, clearing out both the ISG and the Shield Maidens in that scenario. I'm not even terribly sure whether or not the Liaos actually rocking up did most of the damage, but I definitely can tell that they were sandwiched into oblivion. Kind of hold up all the way into their spawn point. Monks are fairly difficult to kill because they will constantly heal as they spin around. As you can see, not a single one is dying to Village Watchmen who do basically no damage. Yanyadao cavalry running through, just murdering everyone. You missed it. You missed it, Grimlord. ECL played earlier today, about an hour and a half ago. There were no bans. Sorry, Sicko. A lot of permadeaths. It was to be expected. Again, like, this is quite common, and it's going to become more common if nothing changes, because cavalry is definitely overperforming, definitely too strong, and they're just too difficult to deal with. I would be shocked, absolutely shocked, if the developers watched these matches and thought to themselves, oh my goodness, cavalry is OP, how could we not see this? They totally know that cavalry is overperforming. They have to, because there is no way any normal developer doesn't understand that how they design units is letting cavalry overperform. Because, like, you think to yourself, a unit that hits six odd targets for 3,000 damage versus a unit that, like, shield maidens hit for about 3,000 damage, raw damage, but one target. There's only 28 of them. Maximum 28 times 3,000 damage. The Yanyudao cavalry are hitting for 3.5 thousand damage. They hit 6+. They hit 6+. I'm not even sure how many they hit with their base. This is their base. There's 18 of them. It is 6 times 18 times 3.5, and that is way higher. Way higher than the Shield Maidens. At least twice over. And that only gets worse with veterancy nodes. Like, I was talking about a Shield Maiden that was maxed out and getting basically best potential for damage. The Anyudao Cavalry base already does twice the amount of damage output than the Shield Maidens can do. Easily. So it's very difficult to say. I like to use these games as showcases of why hard counters don't work overall, because the hard counters that exist do not counter cavalry enough that their mere existence counters the cavalry. The problem is that they have a trade efficiency that is very low in comparison to cavalry's trade efficiency, which is extraordinarily high. Like, if I told you that it is very generally trading a cavalry for another unit is actually the common thing. Like, it is very weird to lose your entire cavalry and not get anything. That's how cavalry is designed. It is so powerful that you are always trading, but you're basically always trading, and if you're trading badly, it's basically like an equal. If you're trading good, you're killing 5 whole units. You're killing 10 whole units with a single cavalry. Nevertheless, that is all for today. I'm going to see if I can catch a field battle, or maybe I'll just let it go and catch you guys another day. No matches tomorrow because there's TW, and so we'll have to wait until the Friday to see the next set of matches, and that's the next time I'll probably stream. But I think it's very sad in the long run to have the balance the way it is balanced currently, to keep it this way. I've accepted that the developers don't want to rework cavalry. At this point, I can't give any more feedback besides reworking cavalry. You can't downgrade the power of cavalry too much because there's just too many good alternatives that are just doing way better. And when you downgrade them too far, their trade efficiencies get really low against pike units. And I know what you're saying. Isn't that a good thing? Yes. At the same time, no. Because what you need to accomplish is right now matching the trade efficiency of cavalry to pike units. That is to infantry. basically, um, basically what's going to happen is that pike units will have to basically always die to non-pike units. So pike units basically will have to eventually become instantly dead when a single shield unit, well, single alternative unit arrives. They die, like instantly die. Just their mere presence would kill all pike units. All pike units would then need to basically one-shot cavalry just by touching them. So if the cavalry touches a pike unit, they would just die. That is what's happening, and that's what is the problem, because cavalry right now basically just runs over everything, or runs through all of the infantry, and the infantry can barely handle one or two cavalry. I like how even though I'm meant to be casting, I just turned into a rant. So, yuck. Um, can I observe? I have to observe with a password. Just wondering. Well, let's see if this works out. If this does work out, that's great. If it doesn't work out, whatever. They changed the password, so yeah, thought so. Well, I'll leave it to that. I hope you guys enjoyed the I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. We did get to watch basically two stomps, which was ECL versus GW. GW losing 0-2 to ECL. ECL just like absolutely stomping GW. Flamers were really just killing it. BMP kind of rocking DZ just from the usage of cavalry. I didn't see anything really worth of note out from BMP. The fact that DZ just could not handle the cavalry was just a unit selection problem. Wasn't even about artillery. Wasn't even really about attack avenues. Although I do have to say, their strategy was to run around and try to get to places. So they kind of like avoided fights, but getting caught a lot. So there was that. But in the end, it was just like DZ just unable to fight directly with BMP, especially on the attack, which is not what you want to see. You never want to see the defenders be more aggressive than the attackers, because if the attackers are on the defensive, that means that they either can't fight directly, or their strategy or inability to fight they can't fight directly, or the attackers are at a disadvantage. A lot of times it's because the attackers are at a disadvantage, and it's just really sad to see. Nevertheless, I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Other than that, my name's Atsukai. Have a nice day. Bye for now.